All right, now Cameron Munster, obviously great last night. Yeah. Player of the match, led the team superbly. Is he the long-term captain now?
Absolutely. Do you know what? I think he's waited for this moment. You know how you're just not sure, but when he got it, how he addressed it. We spoke to him last Sunday on radio, and he actually put everything on himself, which means that he owned the side. The way he played was absolutely outstanding. Leaders come in all shapes and sizes, but they certainly followed him.
What I found interesting, Gordy and Buzz, was he wasn't always the most logical choice, Cameron Munster, because he isn't the captain for the Melbourne Storm. And you've got Harry Grant, who is, and then you've also got players like Tino and other senior figures that are in that Maroons.
Ponga's a captain in Newcastle, Ruben Cotter is a captain.
Okay, so he basically had 5 or half a dozen choices that he could have gone with, but clearly Billy, being the sharp tactician that he is, has thought, okay, well, which player's going to lift the most and which player's going to revel in the responsibility? And it's that carefree larrikin that Cameron can sometimes be. He's also got a steely focus, and he just, that added responsibility, he revelled in it.
Yeah, I thought he came of age as a rugby league player last night, the all-round rugby league player. And it was his body language and the way he discussed things with the referee. Remember, there was a general warning and he politely said, "Is that a warning, sir?" And, you know, and then he went down and he told all his players, and I couldn't believe it was the Cameron Munster of 2 or 3 years ago.
No, and he enjoyed the moment. Like, he scored that try, he went back, he was like he was rallying the troops, he was getting the crowd behind him. It was a fantastic night.
I'm proud of him because you talk about those moments where he's not the captain of Melbourne and the larrikin and, you know, having his issues years ago. And I think over time, a lot of people probably haven't taken him serious in that department as a leader. And he's always believed that he is one. I know it hurt him not getting the captaincy at Melbourne, and that's something that we sort of spoke about. And be given the captaincy of Queensland, which is everything to him, I could tell, you know, when he got it, how much it meant to him, and you could see by his performance what it means to him. But he was under a lot of pressure too. Like, you didn't want to come out. You come in as the underdog.
The coach was under the pump. The Queensland were under massive pressure.
Enormous pressure. Buzz, like you think of all the champions that have worn that number 6 jumper, from Wally Lewis to Darren Lockyer to Kevin Walters. For Cameron to go out, and JT, for Cameron to go out and produce the all-round dominant leadership display that he did, it's a credit to him.
What about Harry Grant? We were the first to be critical of him and his performance in Game 1. And I think he would admit he didn't play great in Game 1, but what a response. Like, he went back to Melbourne, played the 80 minutes last weekend, and with the intention of getting, like a horse really, getting himself set for the race, which was yesterday or last night. And boy, did he deliver. He was outstanding, Gordy.
I think 50-odd tackles as well. Obviously, he had a poor night in Game 1, but that's how you want him to come out and respond, and he did that. He went back to Melbourne Storm, was fantastic. They do get at him a lot. They try to take away his energy, but just the way he steered him around the park, and really tough conditions for like both sides last night. I thought Harry was absolutely outstanding.
When we sat here and critiqued his performance after State of Origin 1 and the Maroons had lost 18-6 and Harry, by his own admission, had taken some wrong options, we said at the time he won't play 2 games as bad as that. And last night, once again, he just vindicated what a champion he is. Buzz, you must have.
Yeah, well, didn't Reedy want to put him on the bench?
No, Reedy wanted.
Didn't he want to start with Ruben Cotter or something?
Yes, he wanted Ruben Cotter at hooker.
Yeah, look, Harry Grant.
He's only a part-time Queenslander, Reedy, don't forget.
Harry Grant's the best hooker forward in the country at the moment. He showed last night. And look, every player at this level is going to have a bad night, right? And he had a shocker. Let's be serious. In Game 1, it just was not him. But if they'll pick an Australian side tomorrow, he would be one of the first chosen as the hooker. Yeah. He was brilliant last night.
All right, what about the coach, Billy Slater? He is the hero today, but there was a hell of a lot of drama leading up to this game. You mentioned it. Had to apologise to the Paul Green family. Had the dramas with Aaron Woods in the press conference the day before that. And if he hadn't have got the result last night, who knows what pressure he would have been feeling this morning. So it was a monumental result for him.
Yeah, it was. And look, what he said on game eve was unfortunate and it was wrong. He should never have said that. From that moment, though, his phone call to Amanda Green, to me, showed the real Billy Slater, a man with a lot of class, who owned up to making a terrible mistake and upsetting the Green family with the way Paul was brought into the story. I do know Amanda Green, Paul's wife, has spoken to Jess Halloran in The Australian this afternoon and released a statement. And Amanda is completely fine now with Billy Slater. She really, really appreciated and respected his phone call. They were upset when they saw the press conference, but she's forgiven, and she made it clear she's got a lot of time for Billy. And I think it's a nice ending to a very, very unfortunate story.
Pressure can do incredible things to coaches in the Origin arena, and we saw it a few seasons ago with Freddie Fittler, who, when he first came in, had a fantastic start to his career in charge of the Blues, brought in the yoga and the earthing and a whole raft of different gravy style of looking at things. But then, after losing a series in 2020, and the wheels started to come off a little bit, well, you could really see that the pressure started to get to Freddie, and it felt as though watching Billy in the press conference the day before last night, that clearly the pressure was starting to get to him. And I think he would acknowledge that now, that I had no issue with what he said, aside from when he brought up Paul Green. I thought, OK, well, I can't really see the correlation there.
His apology was genuine, and I believed every bit of it. But you can't overlook what he did that day, and bringing the Paul Green family into it. Suicide's a horrible thing, and they'll be grieving for the rest of their lives. As I said last week, I've experienced it, and it was just unnecessary. And hopefully, learnt from it, Billy. I think and we've spoken about coaches in the past. It's how you react when you're under pressure that really shows what you're made of, and that's what gives you longevity in our game, is how you respond to pressure and how you respond to losses, and that's why the great coaches respond so well, So I think it was a good learning curve for him, but his response in terms of on the field and the players, they definitely aimed up for him, didn't they? Yeah,
absolutely, and he owned that moment. Yeah, you know what, you do feel the pressure, you know what I mean? And I feel, I'm not even part of it now, but just like around Origin, and I was up in Cairns yesterday, and what it means, and when you coach New South Wales or play, you feel that pressure. And I couldn't imagine going out there, sitting in the box, you've done everything possible, and Wayne Bennett say, I feel helpless. You feel like you can't do anything as a coach, you'd rather be playing. And they sit there, and we always critique them, but it's a high-pressure job, coaching Queensland and New South Wales, and they do it fantastic.
I'll tell you what is a high-pressure job too, Gordy, being a referee. So let's get to the penalty count, Buzz. I know you were filthy, and there's probably a lot of New South Wales fans waiting for this moment where we talk about the penalty count. 8-0 in the first half to Queensland. Were New South Wales that ill-disciplined?
I think New South Wales were ill-disciplined, and I don't have too many problems with the 8 penalties they conceded. The problem I do have is that anyone can look at that first half of football on a replay and find 4 or 5 areas of the game where Queensland could quite easily have been penalised as well. In my eyes, he was refereeing one side for a majority of that first half. I know we were ill-disciplined, and I'm not even blaming it for the loss, because we had our chance in the second half to get back. But, Gordy, you cannot be perfect in Origin for 45 minutes. Impossible.
Well, we were.
But you weren't.
We were.
You weren't.
We were. I read about it.
We weren't. You weren't.
We weren't. No, look, mate, listen, we didn't talk about it. In Game 2 last year, when we got blown off the park, I think there was 6 or 7 set restarts, and we couldn't keep up. When you're defending and you're losing the battle, you do come up with it. We had the ball, we had the momentum. It's hard to give away a penalty when you got the ball. But when the shoe was on the other foot in the second half, we were struggling. That's when, it was coming. But
I didn't notice it.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I thought you brought Barry Gomersall back.
Oh, come on.
You brought Barry Gomersall on the grasshopper.
You guys got 8.
Gordy, fair dinkum. 8-0.
With set restarts, right? Set restarts and penalties, you got 8. We ended up with 12.
12 what?
12. So 2. So there's not much difference. So we got 4 more than you guys. And you're blaming the ref?
No, in all seriousness, I'm not.
I'm
not blaming the ref, but I said it's outrageous that Queensland can play 45 minutes in state of origin, that intensity, mistakes are made, high speed, under pressure, not one penalty.
I'm not blaming
that cannot happen. It's impossible.
I'm not blaming.
Hey, do you know Billy's only won? That's probably the second penalty count he's won in all the games he's coached.
Yeah, but I bet you he was never down 8-0.
I know, but do we ever whinge about it? That's my point.
No, well, as I said, I'm not whinging about it, but I'm
Sounds like it.
No, I'm not whinging. I said the better side won. In my view, the better side won.
It was unusual.
And no side is perfect. And you do make some valid points. No team's perfect. And, yeah, New South Wales probably deserved. I don't know. I didn't... Yeah, you'd have to go back and watch the game. But I don't think that we were that bad.
It was unusual. I was geeing up when I mentioned Barry Gomersall from back in the day. But if you actually look at it, I went through it, went into the lab today and went over it with a fine-tooth comb. I reckon 95% of the penalties, there was maybe one that was a little bit 50-50, but aside from that...
There's a couple here I thought, he blew the whistle quick, dominant tackle on his back and gives that one away. There's a couple that I thought were dubious that... And was it this one here, maybe he gets him on his back... no, this isn't it.
Crowd.
That's a penalty. That's the one. Yeah, no, there was one here. This one here with Hudson Young, I think it is.
And the ball comes out.
Yeah, he just blows a penalty. What's the penalty for? I don't know if it's holding down or not. But what I'm trying to say is, you looked at most of them, like you said, and they were clear penalties. I don't think there was really any, but all the 50-50 calls, like them, they all went Queensland, and you won't see that again. So this is the thing. Yeah, it's great. Queensland were fantastic, deserved the win. New South Wales had their shot, but you're not going to see that again. You're not going to see an 8-0 penalty count again. Game 3 is going to be a hell of a lot different. The referees will take notice of that as well. So Queensland are going to have to be even better. So is Klein under pressure, Buzz? Have the NRL commented at all about the refereeing?
I spoke to key people at the NRL today and they hadn't done a proper review of the match and the Blues hadn't reviewed it either. I spoke to Dave Trodden. He said what I said, we were beaten fair and square on the night. But he did say Laurie will look at the video, find out what he wants to talk to the NRL about and then take it to, for adjudication. So
have you spoken to Loz at all about it?
I haven't spoken to Loz, no. But he was furious after the game, privately furious, but he knows he can't come out and say anything, not just for the fine, but it looked like poor sportsmanship after, a loss like that.
It didn't help they made a lot of errors, and their attack wasn't great at all in that first half.
And they, in fairness as well, to Queensland, the Blues did get some rub the green with the 6 against. In the opening half, they had 3, Queensland had 2. So I don't think... You can't use that as an excuse for why the Blues were beaten.